watching this later. I'm your host, Brian Fox of Trusted Herd. And we got a special episode today because episode number 8 takes us to a different country. North of the border, we have Mr. Calum McGuigan here with Fervent Events, and he is the man. I've known him for a few years. Calum, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. You nailed the first name. Second name, you completely butchered it, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing well and happy to be seeing you, Brian, and good to have a chance to chat.
Yeah. Likewise. Thanks so much for joining. For everybody who's watching in the States, Fervent Event is a pretty large staffing agency out of Toronto in Canada. Do some pretty awesome stuff up there. No different than an awesome staffing agency down here. And also part of our premium network too. So I wanted to get Calum on and talk a little bit about the journey of Fervent Events and him being an entrepreneur. So what we're doing with this downtime, if you're just catching Trusted Herd live for the first time ever, as you know, there is a little bit of downtime. Not too many events that are happening. And so we thought it'd be kind of cool if we learned a little bit about the companies that we always apply to and we work for, but we learn about their entrepreneurial story and how they got here. So Calum, the first question for you has nothing to do with events. Tell us a little bit, like, what do you do when you're not doing events or not doing Fervent? What are your hobbies? What do you like?
So I'm big into sports. I came. I mean, I'm Scottish. For those of you that are thinking, Jesus, that's a funny Canadian accent he's got. This is not a Canadian accent. I'm Scottish. I came from Glasgow 14 years ago to play rugby originally, and came here for a summer to play rugby. Really enjoyed the place. Ended up staying here, so on and so on. So rugby is actually what took me here. And rugby is kind of a similar sport to football for you guys in the States. And I'm a big soccer guy as well. Just started recently running. So I mean, obviously a lot of sports, and then obviously I've got 2 kids. The kids take a lot of the time. The social time with my wife, eating out, and all the rest of it has taken a big downward trend since the kids came along. But we did used to enjoy going out for meals and all that together as well. But sports would be my main pastime.
Good stuff. And rugby, number 1, right?
Rugby would be number 1, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's roll right into it. So everyone, if you're listening here and you got some questions for Calum, feel free to drop them in the comments section. We'll answer some audience questions at the end. We're also going to start sharing these out into the Facebook groups, which will be really cool because, again, we want to learn the stories about the entrepreneurs and the companies that they lead. So, Calum, if we had just met today and we didn't know anything about each other, and actually, I want to tell this really cool story to our audience really quick. So the first event that I ever did with Trusted Herd was at Event Tech, I believe, in Vegas. And there I am with like this little setup, and Calum comes around the corner, and
it was San Fran. It was the Exponential Marketing Summit in San Fran.
San Fran comes around the corner and he strikes up this conversation with me, and he goes, "Hey, I've been following you on Instagram. I like what you're all about." And I had no idea who this person was, and that was our first interaction.
It was crazy. I remember saying to you, like, how many folk are part of your team, and you're like, it's just me, right now, it's just me. It was bizarre. I was one of 1,000 followers maybe at that point on Instagram. But yeah, you've done a good job.
Do you remember how you found out about Trusted Herd?
No idea.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'd imagine it'd be like social media, like algorithms. Like I'd use the same hashtag a million times. So if you. Yeah. And you're put up as like someone I should follow, or I'd imagine it'd be something like that.
Yeah, too funny. Okay, so let's see here. If we had just met today, how would you describe Fervent Events to me?
So Fervent Events is a national experiential marketing agency in Canada. We've been in business for 10 years. We've ran over 1,000 marketing campaigns across the country. Everything from Grand Prairie, Alberta to Toronto, Ontario. So we have every single nook and cranny of a large country covered. And all of our programs utilize brand ambassadors. So all of our programs work with their live engagements. So whether or not that is a street team activation, an in-mall demo, a pop-up shop, whatever it may be, brand ambassadors and like live engagements are the kind of main tool in our toolbox. We do no digital, we do no TV or print or anything like that. Everything's 100% experiential. So at this time, obviously with everything that's going on, we with 100% of our business being relying on consumer faced interactions, we're not that busy right now, unfortunately, like a lot of other agencies out there. But I mean that will change in due course.
That will change in due course. Events will come back. One small piece of silver lining is now you're on Trusted Heard Live, episode number 8, and we have to hear your story.
There you go.
There you go. Cool. So it's a little bit about Fervent. What type of a work were you doing before you got into the event world? What were you up to?
So I mean, again, to take you back to Scotland, I actually studied events management in university. So I was an event planner first and foremost, and I graduated, came here, and I worked for a charity, a not for profit in Canada, as their special event officer. And after about 2.5 years doing that, I'd kind of done everything 2.5 times. I'd organised 2 golf events, I'd organised 2 galas, I'd organised 2 food sorts, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, shit, if I'm here for 10 years, I'm going to have done 10 galas, 10 golf events. So the idea to kind of go and like create my own portfolio was kind of what took me in the direction of being an entrepreneur and start my own agency. So I do have an event background, and events marketing, like the similarities are like there's so much like transitional like credibility you can take from events management into events marketing. It's really just you do less events in events marketing, but a higher volume. So maybe as a company, we might do a couple of hundred activations a year. But if you're a big events company, you're probably only going to do like 5 or 6 big events a year.
Sure. When you were in university studying event management, did you guys talk about experiential marketing at all in your program?
No, zero, none at all. So when I started the company, Fervent Events, like the idea actually was to, and this is ironic as we talk about it now, because the idea was to start an event planning company. But like 10 years ago was the last like financial kind of crisis.
Yeah,
So the first thing to go in portfolio in like company portfolios is corporate events. They can't be seen laying people off and then throwing a big multi-million-dollar Christmas event or something crazy like that, right?
sure.
So I started an event planning company when there was really no events to be planned. So I had zero market share, and it didn't look like there was going to be any soon. So I kind of pivoted to like guerrilla marketing, street teams, and kind of fell into the industry. Really, it wasn't experiential, wasn't something I'd studied. And you know what? Like honestly, like 13, 15 years ago when I was in university, I didn't think that would have been an option because
Yeah.
the industry continues to evolve, right?
So how did you end up from Scotland over to Canada? Was there a story there? Did you have friends in Toronto?
No, just came over to play rugby. Came for one summer, really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Went home, got a work permit, came back, and then the rest kind of took. Just happened, really.
Yeah, yeah. So you're working that corporate job and you're doing some golf stuff and other corporate events, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, I want to do this on my own. Um, and at that point, like you said, this was more about event planning, correct?
Right, exactly, yeah.
But there was nothing going on. So we're at that point where you just like, hey, I'm going to give this a shot because why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that, and listen, if you happen to be, I don't know, watching this in your 40s and you're thinking about starting your own business, then of course, like go and do it. But I do think that to start your own business as an entrepreneur, like when you're younger, like I was in my early 20s, there was just less risk, right?
Yeah,
There's no mortgage, there's no kids. You know, all your only kind of risk really is like you're going to not see some friends for like a year or two because you're not getting any money and you're trying to build a business,
yeah,
which 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 is fine. I mean, it's all with that for a greater good. So I just kind of took it upon myself to start the business. I didn't think there was much risk. I started a business with $4,000. I had like one paycheck, basically. Got a website, business cards, and then I started like scouring Craigslist for like free classifieds to try and like get business. So I'd see, for example, a guy posted need 10,000 flyers handed out
yeah.
for a franchise or something, and I would email that guy and I would say, pay me a management fee. I'll manage the whole thing for you. And that's kind of so I kind of like learned from like the absolute the absolute dregs of like street teams, and
Yeah,
like the guy the guy that's got $500 to spend and wants 100,000 flyers distributed, something crazy unrealistic like that. But that's
yeah.
kind of how I started. So scouting Craigslist, and then it evolved from there. Yeah.
How interesting. I mean, that's how I stumbled into really the full time version of me being in event marketing. And
Mm-hmm.
it was early 2006. I found an ad on Craigslist. Send us your most creative cover letter and a resume. Do you want to travel the country representing your favorite brand and get paid to do it? And I'm like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that
What was the brand?
So it was for Verizon, which is a telecommunications company, and
Yeah,
their 411 program, 411 Connect, which doesn't exist anymore. And I'll never forget it. I mean, I think it was within 8 days, I had interviewed downtown Chicago, and they were like, all right, get your gear together. You're going on a 5-week tour. You're
amazing.
following the band Gym Class Heroes. And every night, you're driving overnight to get to the new university. So we started in like Buffalo, New York, went all the way up by Boston, and then all the way down to Virginia Tech. And look, I'm not gonna lie, like in the heat of it, it was heavy work. It was like
Yeah,
setting up these kiosks with lead capture, 2-3 hours. You're working the event, the concert, you're capturing at the end, you're breaking it down, driving overnight. But you're also partying with Gym Class Heroes in a band, right?
that's funny.
Right? And like you said, when you're really young and you're in your young 20s, you really got nothing to lose, and you're almost
No,
wondering, am I going to get paid for this? Will there be a paycheck? Like, is the
yeah,
experience actually the pay? And so that all led from Craigslist, which is funny because I think a lot of people around that time in event marketing, there is a Craigslist part of their story.
oh yeah, totally. Well, I mean, there's a whole like, I mean, Craigslist. I don't even know if Craigslist how active Craigslist still is nowadays, but like event slash gigs was like a part of like there was like kind of before like brand ambassadors of Facebook and all that sort of stuff. Like there used to be lots of promos that were posted on Craigslist.
Yeah, yeah, there really was. Um, so you founded Fervent Events, and was there like a purpose though? Was there something that you took from your corporate job and you go,
Mhm.
I really want to do this with this company?
Honestly, the sole purpose was variety.
Okay.
I just kind of I see myself as quite a creative person, although in an ironic way, like the longer you're in business, the less creative you kind of get as you start because your workload just starts to kind of increase, and the volume of what you're doing increases, and the chance to introduce new things all the time
Yeah,
doesn't become as likely anymore.
yeah,
But when I started, it was simply just to have creativity around what I did. I didn't want to do the same. I didn't want to be in Groundhog Day,
right.
right? I didn't want to go through the same shit every day, every week, every year, and the same events. So that was the purpose, man. Just kind of control my own destiny.
Yeah, I think that's what's so exciting about experiential marketing. You know, even if you have the same client, you're having different programs all throughout the year, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
there's that variety, that difference of flavor that you get, and that's what makes it fun, really.
Totally, totally. And it's like I still really enjoy probably more than anything. I enjoy when like we get a new lead in. You know, someone asks us for a proposal, or they give us like a brief RFP, and it comes in completely cold, unsolicited,
Yeah,
or the phone goes and there's a guy that wants X, Y, Z, and there's a decent budget there. Like that opportunity just to do something fresh and something new
yeah,
is what kind of I enjoy most with the job, right?
yeah, for sure. Okay, so we got to you move on from the corporate job. You got why you want to start Fervent Events. How did you land on the name? Where did it come from?
It was actually my wife, believe it or not. We were just coming up with some names. I had some stuff like cheesy sort of stuff, like events with purpose, and I remember that was one events with purpose, and I can't remember what another one was. And I sent like a text message, like 3 or 4 different things out to like 10 or 20 friends. Like
Yeah,
it was like a poll by text, if you like, and Fervent Events came back, honestly, mate, I'd never even heard the word fervent. That's the truth. Like how fucked up, how funny is that? I was like fervent. I was like, let me get the dictionary and check this out. What the hell does it mean? And then to see the definition, I've got it up here on a wall. I see a definition like having or displaying like a passionate intensity. I
Yeah.
was like, shit. I was like, that's awesome. That really, really goes with what like an event company, as it was then, now an events marketing company, should be. And then when I kind of looked at the word fervent more, like you take the F and the R away from fervent, and you're left with the word event.
Come on. Look at that.
Yeah, like you take the F. Oh, it's backwards there, isn't it? Sorry. You take the F and the R away, and like you're left with the word event, right? So I was like, shit. I was like, that works well. And then I had the idea of like an evolving company over the period of time. Maybe you can take the events word away, and it's just fervent, and the event within inside it is highlighted in a different font or something. So
Yeah.
you start to have all these ideas, and you can kind of see like an evolution. Yeah, so that's how the name came about.
That is really, really cool. How long did it take you to realize that event was in Fervent?
Oh, quite quickly.
Real quick.
Just like, yeah, I mean, if you look at the word, like, it's right there. Like,
Yeah.
it's right there in front of you, you know what I mean? So it just kind of stood out. And then our logo, like, we have, like, the F, which is, I don't know if, like, this even shows well.
It does.
Does it show okay, or is it backwards?
No, it shows forwards.
All right, perfect. So you see, like, the F, I mean, that's like an F, and then you've got the E backwards as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it just kind of worked out.
That's really good. Hey, everybody, if you're just watching, we're here with Calum up at Fervent Events in Toronto, Canada. Uh, he is telling us his entrepreneurial story as well as how Fervent came to be. And if you like that story of the Fervent Events and dropping the F and the R and the backwards Z, which I think is really cool, Colin, I'm actually a little embarrassed to tell you this, but I've known you a few years. I've stared at your logo before. I've never seen that.
Really?
It's really cool for me to hear.
Yeah.
Backwards Z. So good stuff. All right. So logo is pretty cool. Name is pretty cool. The little meanings inside of it. You're scouring Craigslist. Do you remember your very first client and what that was
Yeah.
like?
Yep, I do. It was a company from Chicago, actually. It was a payday loan company, unfortunately, but
Hey,
you're going to take whatever business you can, right?
yeah,
It was a payday loan company based in Chicago, and they were on Craigslist. They wanted like a company to manage a street team in Toronto for them. I reached out to them. I remember I had like I was just starting my business. I had a bad phone plan, and I remember just like the phone calls from Chicago all the time. Literally, like my management fee was like eaten up by like phone calls from these guys from Chicago all the time. It was a nightmare. And then they actually guy flew over to see like the street team in action. It was a tiny little piece of business. I mean, it was like a couple of $1,000, but it was like the hardest $2,000 you've ever earned because
yeah,
these guys were all over me, and
yeah,
I was also inexperienced, so I'm sure I wasn't the most efficient. I was learning on the job myself, right?
yeah. The workers that you hired for that program. Do you
Mm.
remember how you found them or where they came from?
Yep. I think it was Craigslist ads. One of them was a friend actually. I can remember them all really well. It was a team of four, and one of them was a friend, and one of them actually ended up being a videographer who shot a lot of video for us. Like I got to know him through that. Um, and then there was another couple of folk that I knew. So I think I maybe posted one. I maybe hired the videographer guy and somebody else just off Craigslist, and then had like two or three friends in the other positions.
Okay. Was the
It was just a street team. It was like a street team for 10 days.
yeah,
It was 5 or 6 members of staff out there in high traffic areas of Toronto giving out flyers in December. So a little bit predatory, to be completely honest. Unfortunately, because you're approaching folk for payday loans and lead up to Christmas.
yeah,
And it's the sort of one that I was like, fuck, I don't want to ever work with that sort of company again. But I mean, I was starting my business, and I had to, I
of
had to
course.
do it. I had to earn some money, right?
Right, right. And experience and get that client underneath the belt. The on that client, was that a one and done, or did you work? Did you do another program for them?
That was a one and done. After they worked with us, I don't honestly think the street team idea really worked for them.
Okay.
Because the whole idea was, and it was like their kind of strategy was really that you kind of hover in areas that have other payday loan, but brick and mortar payday loan.
Yeah.
But these guys, you can just go online. So the idea of somebody taking a card and it just wasn't really working. So what they did after that, I remember seeing adverts on TV, radio jingle. I think they just moved it all in another direction.
Yeah.
Which was probably the best thing for them.
This
They were
is
nice. They were nice. They were nice people. Don't get me wrong. Like they were nice folk. It was just like it's a little bit predatory, right? Like,
oh, of course, right? I mean, that's that line of business. A question that actually just spurred that I know a lot of brand ambassadors do think about when they're out in the event world and on site is you might work an event and you go, this just isn't working. Like the flow isn't working, or the activation itself isn't working. This seems like a waste of money, right? So I'd actually be interested to hear your perspective. Are you very honest with clients when you do recaps or summaries of programs of like, hey, this actually didn't work. Here's why. Here's what we would suggest next out.
For sure, like 100%. If we were to, for example, at the end of every single day, like a team lead fills in a form, as I'm sure they do with many agencies, like a team lead report.
Yeah.
And if we're getting like feedback from the ground that says this isn't working because A, B, and C, then we'll go straight to the client with that and let them know. Because if you brush that sort of feedback from the field like under the table or under the carpet, so to speak, if you brush that under the carpet and turn a blind eye to it, you know what, man? Like in 3 to 4 weeks' time, when the whole campaign's done, it's not going to have had the results that everyone anticipated. It's going to look like shit.
Yeah.
And you could have made a change to that. So, I mean, is the feedback from the field going to make a whole 100% shift in the direction of the program? Probably not, because assets have been bought. There's a strategy in place, but can it tweak a program? Like, can it change like 10, 15, 20% of what we're doing out there? 100%. Like, we had a big program this summer, and there was kind of conflicting priorities. There was two different strategies at the same activation, but one strategy kind of took away from the other strategy in a roundabout way. And we raised that like red flag to the client at the very, very start. And then we made a change to like the strategy and how it all worked in the field and what the kind of avenue the brand ambassador was meant to take, how it looked. Originally it was do this followed by do X followed by Y, and we ended up changing it and saying do X followed by XX followed by Y. You know, like you put something else in place.
Yeah. No, that's good feedback, and I think it's valuable for a lot of brand ambassadors to hear that. Often their feedback when they send that to a team lead or somebody back at the office, that should be making it back to a client, because that can improve an activation in a campaign.
I mean, with that sort of stuff as well, Brian, like, and I know you said when you started, like Fervent are like a big staffing agency. Like, we are not a big staffing agency in Canada. We are a smaller guy, right? And we full time. Well, prior to COVID, we like full time. We're looking at 8 full time members of staff and 1,000 brand ambassadors across Canada. But with a smaller agency, I think the feedback goes even further. Because with a smaller agency, and maybe I'm wrong, but with a smaller agency like us or a medium-sized agency, I just feel like there's more of a direct line of contact between the field, the agency, and the client. You know,
yeah. I think
sometimes as a smaller agency, like some of our clients at one stage throughout the course of like a program, they'll meet the brand ambassadors and the team leads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether or not that's in training or whatever it may be. Whereas at a big, massive agency, maybe the information from the field gets lost a bit in the shuffle.
I completely agree, because before I had Trusted Herd, I had social marketing, and one of the things that we always touted is the agility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our ability to turn on a dime and see stuff real time and make those adjustments where when you do have bigger companies like that, there's a little bit more ticker tape. There's more levels that it has to go through. Yeah. So, all right, we had the payday loan. I imagine there's a couple in between, but was there one client that you land on that you go, hey, I think we got something here. I think we maybe made it.
So the big one for us would have been about 2 years into business, maybe 3 years into business. We landed a big newspaper in Canada to do a campus program, so like a back to school university program. They went to RFP. We won the business. It was the first piece of business that I'd had that was like 6 figures.
Yeah.
So it was just that jump. It was that kind of jump to the next thing.
Yeah.
We had like complete, like they were awesome. They're a great client to work with. Like we had complete like creative control over it. They put a lot of trust in us, so we could kind of build this thing from the start. And they had the idea of what they wanted to do, but they put a lot of the creative and the implementation. It was all on us. So it wasn't like just brand ambassador reps provided. It was booking permits, dealing with vendors, getting assets. Like it was a full 360 approach. We probably dealt with like 15 to 20 vendors as part of the program management, right?
Wow.
Insurance, all the rest of it, transport. We had sample packs that were given out. We had to assemble this, get a company to assemble the sample packs. Lots of different things. We gave out like 100,000 packs across Frost Week, like kind of like Frost kits to university students.
Yeah.
And then we worked with them 4 years in a row. So we did 4 Frost events with them in a row, which was awesome. So I think that was the first time that I also had to like hire somebody else, like bring someone else in to assist. So when you start to do things like that, like they're big moments in like a small business, right?
Oh,
Actually,
cool.
having the money that's coming in, the income that can afford someone else, versus like a loan or something to afford someone else, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's massive, and it also leads very naturally into this next question. So you're natural at segues. Team is very important. I've actually met your team before. I've been to your office a couple of times up in Toronto. Can you tell us a little bit about your team and what you appreciate about them?
I mean, this is like that. Thinking about like this conversation, honestly, right now, and I was thinking of this today. Almost like I was almost like I want to talk to you, and like I love what you're doing with all this, and it's a cool opportunity to have a chat and tell your story. But this kind of part of the conversation is difficult right now, given everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, my team right now is like all my team as it is right now, unfortunately, are on temporary leave because we've got zero business. Like we dropped a shitload of upcoming income in 72 hours. We dropped a lot of money a few weeks ago because all the campaigns get pulled, all immediate business gets stopped. Like our business is 100% exponential. 100% of what we do utilizes brand ambassadors. There's not a channel for our business right now.
Right.
You know, there's no in-store demos. You're not even meant to be outside, right? I mean, the whole world's under the same thing. If we had 10% of our business was social or 10% was digital, then that would be 10% more income than we currently have. So, but I mean, it will change. But my team, if this conversation was a few weeks ago, and again, it's kind of sad that this conversation is happening right now. But they took a bit of time to assemble. I've got a few one that's been with me for over nearly 4 years. A couple have been with me for over 2 years. Just a really good group. Good people. Great work ethic. Yeah, we've got a really solid team.
Yeah. Well, you know, we all want the event industry to come back fast, right? And safe also, right? I mean, that's priority.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like with all of this, look, like this, the way this shit's all going down right now is the way that it should be going down. You know, like it has to be, health has to be put ahead of economy.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't have your health. What do you got? Nothing.
Exactly.
So, okay. So how about this, Calum? Is there you've been in business 10 years.
Yeah.
I would hope at this point in your life, you know yourself a little bit well.
Yeah.
Are there certain traits that you feel make you excel a little bit at your job and your company?
I enjoy like business development. I really enjoy pitching. I enjoy meeting with clients, trying to come up with ideas as to how to get new business. I think that like business development is probably my strength, and just kind of strategizing around how to go into new channels and how to win new business.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I think I always enjoyed the new business development part
Yeah,
of the industry because if you're a creative person, that is your outlet, right?
totally. You're totally right, man.
Yeah, that is like, okay, here are all the objectives of a client for a product, brand, or service. Now, how do you make it come to life in a
Yeah,
very effective way, right?
totally. And just before this all stopped, just before COVID had happened, we just put a bunch of money into our own like trade show program this year.
Mm,
So we got like a new booth, and we got a bunch of assets like catalogs, everything like that.
yeah.
And we just attended the Restaurant Canada show. That was the first of the events that we signed up for this year. We had we worked with 85 leads. Probably 6 or 7 of them would have come to fruition.
Oh, wow.
You know what it's like. Like there were some really good conversations. One like
Yeah,
major wine company that we had a great conversation with.
yeah.
But that business development, even just like coming up with the idea of this is what we need to do, and like and just see it all take place, and marketing ourselves like that's definitely my favorite part of the whole business. Yeah.
I'm so with you. And if I had to add a little piece to that, it was once you come up with that plan and then you get somebody to do some renders and the renders
Mm-hmm.
come back for the first time, right? And you go,
Yeah,
boom, this is amazing. This is exact. Oh, can you tweak this a little bit and tweak that a little bit?
totally. Yeah.
But that moment that you present that to a client and they just see their brand and this experience that they thought
Yeah.
I want to do, but now it's like visually you can feel it, right?
Yeah, totally. And on that sort of note, just to kind of loop into a previous your chat about the logo and the name and stuff. So I've actually got a friend who's a graphic designer, and he has actually designed every single piece of artwork that the company's ever had in 10 years, from our very first business card
Yeah,
to our tent and our big exhibit that we had at the Restaurant Canada show.
yeah,
Like absolutely everything. So we have when the artwork comes back and all that sort of stuff, I already kind of know that it's going to be in sync with previous work because this guy has been doing it all from the start, which is
yeah.
cool.
That is very cool. All right, so Colin, looking at whether you go from when you come over from Scotland and you're in Canada and you're doing this corporate event, is there something Colin today would tell Colin 12 years ago, 10 years ago to maybe get where you're at today quicker?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
Is there something today's Colin would tell 12-year ago Colin to get to maybe where you're at faster? Is there a lesson that you've learned along the way or anything?
Um, no, I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I think that we like the way that we got to where we are is complete bootstrapping, right? We've never taken a loan from the bank. We've it's all been self invested. I'm still like 100% shareholder.
Yeah,
Like we started the business with $4,000, like, and that remains the capital that has gone into it, right?
yeah, that's
So
cool.
I wouldn't change anything because although it's taken a lot, like 10 years to get to the point we're at right now, the amount of like what we learned along the way, or what I learned along the way, I think was all pretty necessary.
Nice. Can you we're going to talk about event workers, and then there's just a few more questions left that we have from the list, and I think there's like 2 or 3 audience questions. But for the people in the U.S. that are watching, in we might say like, hey, New York's a hotspot for events, Vegas
Right.
is a hotspot, L.A., Chicago. Up in Canada, what's kind of your like top 3 or top 4 cities of most active events? Would you say?
I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna ask you to guess, and
Okay.
I bet you get them right.
Well,
It's not.
I'm happy you're not asking about provinces and naming all the provinces because
No, give me what you think the top 3 cities are.
I'm going to go Toronto,
Yep.
Vancouver.
Yep.
Um, God, and number 3, I'd either go Montreal,
Yeah,
or
Montreal.
is it Montreal?
Yeah, Montreal. I would say those three. Toronto is the kind of economic hub. It's in the Greater Toronto area. There's close to 5 million people, including Toronto. It's massive.
Yeah,
Vancouver is obviously is a massive city, and Montreal it would be, I'd say, number three as well. I mean, Montreal has lots of like outdoor festivals, lots of food festivals. The Just for Laughs comedy festival is like a 20-day
yeah,
festival. They have like kind of creative and kind of fun and very quirky stuff as well, like hot air balloon festivals. Like,
yeah.
like there's a lot going on there. Um, and then I mean, Calgary is also has the Stampede, which is massive. But I would say that the three you named are the three major hubs. Yeah,
Thanks
that
for
that's where we have the most work.
okay. And just to let everybody know, I did not just set that up for myself for Calum to ask the question and knock those three out of the park. Um, okay, how about event workers? Do you have any advice, like in general, for event workers?
I mean, I would just say like try and form a bond with your account managers. Like go above and beyond. If you're a brand ambassador, like understand what the role of the team lead is, and try and let your account manager know that you'd be happy to take on that role at a later date. Learn as much as you can on the job, and also maybe try and if you're looking to try and get involved in an agency, um, maybe just let that be known after you've got six months or so of experience, rather than being a brand ambassador for 6-7 years, and maybe your account manager starts to think of you just as a brand ambassador.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really good advice. How about for the people that are listening right now and go, I kind of like Cullum. He seems like a pretty cool guy. Fervent Events seems pretty cool. Once events do come back, is there a dedicated place that brand ambassadors can apply to work for Fervent Events?
Yeah, it's simple. It's just info@ferventevents.com.
Okay, perfect.
Just send your resume. I mean, we do post jobs a lot on like different job boards like Brand Ambassador Toronto, Indeed, lots of different websites out there. But I mean, you can always just send a resume to info@ferventevents.com, and I'd pass it on to one of our recruiters.
Perfect, perfect. All right, we have looks like 2 or 3 audience questions. So first one, um, Canadian staffing agency. Have you ever done any events in the U.S.?
No, no, we've not.
Okay, would you?
We had an opportunity to kind of get involved in the US, but I just honestly I don't know the US,
Yeah,
and at that time there's so much business in Canada. I was just trying to grow the business here.
I was thinking that would have been a perfect opportunity for me to ask you, hey, Colin, what do you think are the 3 most event popular cities in the U.S.? In
Yeah.
50 states. Go. All right. Next question comes. Your first client came from Craigslist and was the flyering program for 10 days. Can you talk a little bit about what client number 2 or 3 or 4 looked like? Like, what was your challenge in going beyond the first one?
So what we did after that, I I had like a bunch of like different emails of like vendors and stuff that I'd used from my previous event planning job. So I had a very very small like email distribution list. Let's say like 80 or 90 kind of companies on
Yeah.
that legally I shouldn't have exported and brought with me and start one thing. But I had that. So what I did was I did like a small kind of like stunt. I called it a stunt. It was like a silent disco. I got a videographer downtown Toronto to video myself and some friends with headphones and like just dancing away in the middle of like Bay Street, which is like our kind of Wall Street,
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock in the morning. So there's like 8 or 9 of us dancing in suits, and people were walking by like, "What the hell is this?" And it wasn't to get business; it was just to really create a video.
Yeah.
Put the video on YouTube, and we had a message at the end of it saying like, "We did this. My company did this for a couple of $100. Like, think about what we can do with you for like a few thousand." And put it on YouTube and sent the video out to that 80 or 90 email list that I had. And then I got 2 pieces of business from that, which was crazy. So one of the companies then came back. They wanted to do a kind of stunt as well.
Yeah.
We came up with like another kind of quirky thing, like a high five freeze. They were an apparel company. People walked out the intersection. They froze in a high five position midsection.
Yeah.
We recorded it on video. It wasn't seeded or anything, but gave them the video as a takeaway. They sent it to all their clients, and then I got a piece of business from one of their clients saying, "Who did that stuff for you?" So this all kind of trickled and like through a very simple but kind of fun like way. That's how I then got like my next like 3 or 4 pieces of business. So it was very organic. It was really organic, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's what I really love about your story, right? Is you talk about you start this business with $4,000, right? And that's the capital that's been put in, and you get the first job off of Craigslist, and then it's what's next, and it's like, hey, why don't we produce our own little video that probably cost you how much money did that cost you to make?
Oh, it was like $150 because all my friends did it for free. I gave the videographer was $150 for like an hour.
Yeah,
He got 150, and then that was it. And it's funny if you. I mean, I'll send you the video after this, Brian. Like, you can have a look at it. It is hilarious, man. It has not aged well. It's not aged well at all. It looks like a Saturday Night Live sketch. It looks like a Saturday Night Live sketch. But we got like some business from that. Then the next client wanted to do a video as well, sent all their clients for kind of fun. So
yeah,
I got paid to do that. But then they kind of became unbeknown to them. They were also co-marketing us
yeah,
because they had a few clients say, "Who did that?" And then one of the pieces of business I got through that was like 5 or 6 things a year. It was like brand ambassadors for in mall programs. So it started to really grow organically,
yeah.
like through that,
I think that just goes to show like the creativity, right? And you don't need a boatload of money. You just need to
100%.
and put it pen to paper or key
Yeah.
to the keyboard, whatever that.
100%, man. Like that's going back to like the business development idea, like and to tie that in with starting the business with not a lot of money, not having a lot of money, like you have to be creative.
Yeah,
So I've always continued that from a business development point of view. Like the trade show thing we put together, we spent a total of 25 grand on, which is a lot, which is more money now, but it's nothing in comparison to bigger guys.
oh sure,
Like last year, we simply sent a bunch of donuts, and we did donut drops to 100 agencies in Toronto to introduce ourselves.
yeah,
And then we asked if they wanted us to bring them lunch to do a lunch and learn. And we got like 20 meetings out of that. So like the less money sometimes that you have,
yeah.
it makes you consider the strategy more. Because if you have a shitload of money, it's easy to spend it.
It's absolutely easy to invent it, but it also doesn't guarantee you anything, right?
No,
I think in a people driven business, the ability to go out and do a donut drop and then do a lunch and learn, like it's not going to be the $5,000 that you spend. I remember we had a vendor, gosh, and now this was 11 or 12 years ago. This vendor one time around the holidays, for all the people that use them at our agency, they brought like the iPod Mini, and it was actually or Nano. I don't I forget all,
right,
but custom engraved. And I was like, this is amazing. This is really cool. Very thoughtful, right? But I remember a couple months later, I went into a meeting that was a lunch and learn with another vendor who just you connect with somebody, right?
yeah,
And I think that's what it is about experiential marketing is you connect with someone
totally,
and you build trust and you build a program, right?
yeah.
Very cool. All right. I don't have any more questions. The audience, some of them are asking like where they can apply, and I see some of the email addresses being dropped there. It's info at fervent.com, right?
Info at ferventevents.com.
Fervent events. Okay. Um, perfect. Is there, Colum, anything else that we did not talk about that you would like to talk about today?
No, nothing on that I can think of. Just like again, like good for you for doing this. I think this is an awesome use of time
Yeah.
right now. For all of your audience, like to kind of to have like all these different agencies coming on and having a chat. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty cool, and I'll definitely be tuning into to some myself moving forward and seeing what other folk have got to say. I think that the downtime like this is an opportunity to try and create. But it's I think a downtime like this, like if everyone can kind of put their head down and try and create something, then this is the time to do it. Maybe for all the brand ambassadors out there, this is the time to spend like 3 or 4 extra hours on like touching up like your resume so it looks awesome, or creating your own website with like your own portfolio of like different things you've worked on. Like this is an opportunity, I think, for us all to kind of do a little bit of work on ourselves, and maybe that can enable us to enable you guys to book more gigs in the future.
Yeah, I think I saw this analogy that it's almost like this moment is considered the great unwind, right? Where everyone is so busy in their everyday life,
Yeah,
grinding, go go go, and you've almost been forced to stay inside and think, right? Like,
yeah,
what am I currently doing in my life? What am I happy doing it? Do I want to do something else?
yeah. You're totally right.
Right?
Yeah,
And it's this moment of reflection, which, I think coming out of it, you're going to get a lot of new companies, new entrepreneurs that come up with ideas that are forward thinking. But you're going to get a lot of people who are passionate about either what they've been doing or something new.
I
Right?
agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think it's a good opportunity to have some self reflect and to try and put yourself in a better position for the future.
Yeah. I have this also streaming on my phone so I can see the names that are popping up here. I know I did see one person said, can you just keep asking Colin questions because I think they really like your accent. Another person, does Colin have kids? Married? Yes, he is married. Yes, he has kids. 2 kids, right?
Yep. Yeah, we had our second 3 weeks ago.
Ah, congratulations.
Crazy. And in the middle of all this, it was madness, absolute madness. But from a personal point of view, kind of unique and like the silver lining to actually be able to stay at home with no work for
Yeah.
this moment in time with a newborn is really unique.
You know,
Yeah.
the second episode we had at Trusted Her Live was McCall Peck, and she has an agency out in Vegas. She had just given birth, Colum, 2 days
Wow.
before the episode. Uh,
Wow.
right? And so that was her third kid. But there's like this little trend. It seems like every third episode here, we got a new,
A newborn.
right? Very, very exciting.
Funny.
Cool. Well, Colin, thanks so much for joining again. We loved hearing about your story, coming over to Canada, Fervent events, how you got started, everything. I think this is the whole idea. It's giving people a sense of the people behind the company. And when the lights come back on and we get to the end of the tunnel here, these are the companies that you want to work for. Like, these are the people behind it. So it gives workers a little bit more insight. Tomorrow, we have Dana Gilchrist, who runs the Hype Agency out of New Hampshire. So not
Nice.
that far away from Toronto. But and then this week we also have Grassroots Demos, Final Stretch, and then the Oxford Marketing on Friday. So good slate,
Awesome.
of companies for next week. This has been a blast. Colin, again, thank you so much for joining. And hey, everyone, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and share it everywhere, your personal page, any marketing pages that you like. And we will see you tomorrow at 3:30 or 3:50, I think.
Cheers.
All right,
Cheers,
Colin.
Brian. Thank you, Brian. That was awesome. Appreciate it, mate. Take care. Take care.